Welcome back, Black Like Me podcast family, to another Black Like Me podcast redrop. Marlon Anderson made national news last year when he was let go from his position as a security guard at Madison West High School for telling a black student who was being removed from the school not to call him the N-word and using the N-word while doing it. In this interview, you hear Marlon explain the incident as it happened, as well as the local and national response to a very significant event. In addition to being Marlon's son, Noah was also the president of the Black Student Union at West at the time and organized a protest and a walkout that even teachers participated in. It's really wonderful to hear Noah talk about how this incident and his participation in it changes his goals for the future. The interview that unfolds between Marlon and Noah and Dr. G is an intimate look at something that has national implications. Enjoy.
Hey, good people. Grits or cream of wheat? Who the hell is racist? Does anyone ever ask could they touch your hair?
Black Like Me.
You're listening to Black Like Me with Dr. Alex G., a podcast that invites you to experience the world through the perspective of one black man, one conversation, one story, or even one rant at a time. Here's Dr. G.
Black Like Me.
Hey, good people. I want to welcome you back to another exciting episode of Black Like Me with Dr. Alex G. Now, first of all, I want to make a little disclaimer. We normally record at our studio during the morning, midweek, but tonight we have a special guest who could only make it in the evening. So when you use community radio stations, there's a lot of music and sound going on. So if you hear some instruments and some strings going on, that is not my theme music. That is not my podcast music. That's some stuff that's going on someplace else inside the studio. So your iPhone, your smartphone is not broken. The internet is not broken. The noise that you hear might be real, but just understand it's community radio. Listen, you all. I have a guest, two guests in the studio. One I've been knowing since he was a young man, probably in his late teens. The other I've been knowing since before he was born. But it's a young man who's gotten a lot of national and international acclaim in the last few months. His name is Marlon Anderson, and he's in the studio with his son, Noah Anderson. You might know Marlon's name. You'll certainly know his face because he's the gentleman who was fired from his high school at Madison West for repeating the N-word. The kid was calling him that name, and he said, "Don't be calling me this name," and said it again. Someone put a radio on, it went through the halls, and he was fired. And, man, in a couple of days, I opened up my cell phone, my iPhone, and I saw his face on my phone. I was like, what's Marlon doing texting me in the morning? And it was on BBC News. This had become international news. And so he and his son, Noah, who was one of the leaders of the protest in their school, they're in the studio today. And we're just going to talk about life, behind the scenes stuff, their own leadership development. And these are really some fantastic young people. I met Marlon as a musician and as a young minister.
Once we're down on the ground now, I say arise, come on. I do what I do when ain't nobody left standing. When I'm through, you once we're down on the ground now, I say arise, come on. Never gonna stop giving them props till my casket drop, and even then still have an everlasting spot. Cause when the cash and the fashion stop, it's an everlasting hot. If you ain't rolling with the masses fly, not a friend but an enemy. If you ain't down, he gon' clown when he come around. Gotta bow to the sound of the coming crown.
And he's become a loved figure in this community. And his son Noah has inherited his lyrical abilities, his rap abilities. In fact, some might even question whether or not he has succeeded his father's limits. And we're gonna make sure that there's a link so you can hear Young Gap drop and spit.
They say freedom is a state of mind. Easy to say when you never really had to grind. A breeze coming from someone who benefits of America's lives and the blood and sweat of my ancestors' cries. They say freedom is a state of mind, but hard to find where every time your hair rise, when you see the lights and hear the chimes of the sirens here to protect you. The badge meant to serve, but only serves the church a couple G's to bury you. Freedom is a state of mind, but no amount of meditating give me peace of mind. Knowing that there's only a matter of time before the big red target on my back hits bullseye, bang, bang, drop dead or die.
And so, Marlon, Noah, welcome to the studios today. Welcome to Black Like Me. How are you young men doing?
I'm good.
Doing great, Dr. G.
It's good, man. Marlon, it's good to see you, man.
It's good to be seen.
I'm looking forward to talking with you all about your experiences, and hopefully, I want to come at it a little differently than all the other hundreds of interviews you've done. But I really appreciate you all being here. I know you all got a movie tonight, and it's you got some other stuff to do. But I really appreciate the fact that you all are taking time to talk about these issues, because there are a lot of people who are listening to Black Like Me to understand how to wrestle with issues of race and disparity. And so our talk tonight is just know it's going to help people. Now, what you all may not know is that I have a segment in my show that's called Black Icebreakers. And so I ask folks some questions. Don't worry, you don't lose. No one has lost their black card. But I just ask some questions just to talk about our cultural uniformity. And so, Marlon, I'm going to start with you, if I may.
You would.
Grits or cream of wheat?
Grits. Come on, man.
Come on. That's right. You from, was it Itabena, Mississippi? Itabena, Mississippi.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I might know the answer to this, unfortunately. Butter and sugar or butter and salt?
Butter and sugar.
Oh, come on now. Okay. That's what they do down in Itabena.
That's it. That's all. We put sugar on cornbread and buttermilk. Come on now.
I got you. Okay, let me see. Marlon. You're in your late 40s.
Yes.
And so did you ever have a straightening comb in your hair?
I did. I used to do it myself. Burn my head.
That's my next question. Have you ever been burned by a straightening comb?
Yep. Only by myself. My mama knew what she was doing. I didn't.
You would straighten your own hair?
Yes.
Even women would have somebody else straighten their hair. You would straighten your own hair.
I do that mess. I burn my. Oh, you can smell it. I was like, I think it was on there too long.
Oh my goodness. Hey, when you was growing up down there in Mississippi, how did old folks get a bone out your throat when you got a fish bone stuck in your throat? Do you remember that?
Hit you in your back real hard till it flew out.
Oh man.
Yes, sir.
Did they ever use white bread? Some people used to use. They used to use white bread sometime when people have a fish bone stuck in their throat. So you don't remember doing that?
No.
You're also a little younger than I am. Let me see. Did you have play cousins or relatives named Lemaine, Junebug, John, Mookie?
Yes, I got a cousin named John.
You got a cousin named John. Why black people do that? They got to say it twice, John.
That's our way of saying junior.
Gotcha.
We don't say junior much. Even though my father was junior, but yeah, it's John.
Do you know what cocoa butter is used for?
Everything. Yes, sir.
Man,
you can use a chapstick, lotion.
Wait! Chapstick. You can put cocoa butter in your lip.
Butter everywhere. That mess is like a wonder lotion.
Oh my goodness. Okay, you got 10 seconds. Tell me as many uses of Vaseline that you can think of. Go.
Oh, lip balm. Golly, I can't think. Hair grease. They rub it on your face before you go to church. Oh no,
that's
you
good.
Can use it for whatever.
That's good.
Boxing.
Oh man, boxing. Do you know how to clean chitlins?
I refuse. When I found out at the ripe old age of 5 what chitlins was, I was crying with a plate in front of me, and I begged my mama. I didn't want to eat them after my brother told me what they was. My mama took my plate, and she said, I eat them, and I never ate chitlins again.
She ate them wrinkles. Did you have a mother, aunt, grandmother that used to wear a duster around the house? Do you know what a duster is?
I ain't heard that word in years.
Those little thin sort of paisley material house coats that had snap.
Yeah,
they would snap down the front.
My grandmama, she did that. My grandmama did that.
She did that.
And I hated them things.
Did your mother ever tell you go get me something to beat you with?
Every time I got in trouble. That was the way in Mississippi. You had to go get your own switch. And I always was warned, if I come back with a twig, they're going to bring back a tree.
That's right. So you had to pick the right one. Like,
I had to
you
pick
go out there crying.
Switch.
You're like, I want this because it won't hurt. But if I bring it back, my mama gone.
Listen, I felt like Jesus carrying my own cross. I was like, this ain't right.
Oh,
I don't want this.
Did you have to be on the porch back at the house before the street light came on?
Yes, sir.
Or before the light hit the top of the trees?
Didn't need a cell phone or nothing. I just looked at the lights, the light's about to come on, man. We finna go. And all the kids would run home. Because we knew if we went home before the lights came on, it was going to be some drama.
In houses in Mississippi, I saw this in Chicago. Older black folks used to have a shrine with three historic figures like on a mantelpiece. Did y'all have those?
Yes, sir.
Who were they?
Dr. King, the Bible, that big family Bible, the big thick one. And who was the third? Oh, and Jesus.
And Jesus, it was
doing that move.
Yeah,
like
that
this.
move with the two fingers up. Look, like Jesus was throwing gang signs.
I don't know what that was.
He had like two, pointing up and 2 pointing to the side. It was Jesus, MLK, and JFK. John
JFK. Showed enough. My grandma.
You old enough to remember
JFK.
that?
Yeah.
Man, it was like a shrine. Black people had them 3 photos. People don't have pictures like that anymore. But there's some young men in the studio say, Wesley, that's what we used to have up on the shrine because they were gonna lead us to the promised land.
No, I said Wesley and them gonna have Trump on their wall.
Oh, they
Velvet
better not.
picture of Trump.
Come on now, they better not. All right, we want to interrupt. We want to interrupt this this podcast. No, we can't do that. We can't do that, man. No, we can't leave you out. Your dad did real well. You know what a butt whooping is?
Yes. Yeah, I know it too well.
What's a butt? We just call them whoopings. Black people call them a butt whooping. What's a butt whooping, Noah?
Butt whooping is that ABC, after you did something bad, you get what you did in syllables. They tell you why
Syllable
you
whooping.
Yeah.
Why did you go out?
And I'm like, I don't know.
Stop it, mama.
Yeah, I know what a butt whooping is.
You know what a butt whooping is?
Yeah.
Let me see. Marlon, can you name any of the children on Good Times?
Golly, JJ, Michael, not Velma. What's the girl name?
It rhymes with Velma. That's Scooby Doo.
Thelma.
Look at you. You just lost your black card. You watch
Thelma.
Scooby Doo? Thelma. Noah, can you name any of the kids on the Proud Family?
Proud Family? Yeah. Penny? Penny? Yeah,
What was the grandmother called?
Grandma Nana? Nah.
What they call?
What they call her? I can't remember
Sugar.
that.
When the Sugar Mama.
Sugar Mama. And her little puppy.
Oh man, my goodness. So this is kind of old school Noah, but when you were younger and you have colds, would your mom or dad rub you down with Vicks Vapor Rub?
Yeah.
Did they ever put it in your mouth, make you eat any of it?
Nah.
Marlon, did old folks used to make you eat it? Like my grandmother used to put it in your mouth, like she rub it on your chest, behind your neck, and she open your mouth. So she figured it helped the sore throat. So you didn't have to, Marlon. You looking at that's nasty.
Stuck it in my nose though.
Yeah.
As a black person, do you believe that do you use washcloths? Because some cross-cultural folks say that, it's cross-culture, there's this big thing.
They call it rags.
They call it rags.
Yeah.
They call rags in the shower.
Yeah, they call them rags.
Because there's some cultures that don't use rags. They just use the soap and just go to work.
Oh, no.
That's what I mean by that.
No, when we moved to Madison, I think we got a little bougie. Ozan got us them little scrub things. So
But y'all had rags in Milwaukee?
Yeah, I used to have a rag.
Did they call them butt rags?
No, I just washcloth.
Washcloth. That's what
I got in trouble because I used it for the dishes one time. My mama whooped my tail good.
She should have, because she didn't want behind on her dishes. She's like, well, I'm not even eating chitlins and I smell chitlin.
No.
All right. Oh, man. Let me think, man. Okay, I'm trying to see if I got anything else for Noah. Let me just see, man. This is good, y'all. Noah, collards or turnips?
Collard greens.
Okay, that's all right. I like
Yes.
that all day. I like the crunchiness of collard greens, man. Growing up, Noah, did you ever tell your mother, get out of my room, I hate your guts?
I think I did one time. Man, I was.
You said that to Miss Ozan.
Let me say. I went to a majority white school. I seen that. That's what I seen and I thought, okay.
I was gonna say you must have went to school with white kids.
Yeah.
So you came home and tried it?
One time.
Is that how you got the gap in your teeth?
Yep. Yep. As a kid, I was at Montego today. A kid just had me, like, is that tooth gonna grow back? I'm like, nah.
He said, no, it's not gonna. So you told your mom you hate her or get out your room one.
No,
what happened?
I never said I hate you.
Did you say get out? You knew better than that.
Yeah, I knew better than that. I ain't crazy. But I'm crazy. I ain't crazy. But I did that one time, and I would never do that again. It's PTSD in my brain.
Oh my goodness, y'all, that was good. Y'all did a good job on that. All right, y'all get to keep your black card. I love that. Marlon and Noah, one of the reasons why I do that is because after black folks were brought here from Africa, we forged culture, and it's amazing. Like, you lived in Mississippi, I lived in Chicago, but we call things a wash rag or we had to be in a house or on the porch before the lights hit the top of the trees. Or if you lived in a community that had street lights, you would do it that way. But it's amazing, the East Coast, West Coast, South, there are experiences that black folks had. And I don't understand, without social media, how we had those cultural norms that people just share. You can meet black people from all across the country and say, hey, did you put sugar on your grits? And just, or that duster, like you didn't call it that. Be like, oh, you did. You said, wait, I ain't thought about that in a long time. So culture's kept us together, keeps us sane. So I love asking those questions because my non-black listeners will hear these things and think, I have no concept of what they're talking about. But how do all these black people have the same answer? Like the fact you named those 3 shrines, that's just something that's embedded in our culture. And defeated people don't create culture. So the fact that we have those cultural norms, it just shows that we're resilient people of African descent. So Marlon, man, back in October.
Oh, Lord.
Back in October. So folks need to understand this. Marlon's wife has been working for me at Nehemiah, a nonprofit I started about 28 years ago, for at least 10, 12 years. She runs our K through 12 programs. And so Marlon helps sometimes with our brother program, with some transportation, doing programs with young men. Marlon and I took some young men to Mississippi for a Rites of Passage program years ago. So Marlon has probably spent the bulk of his career working with young people, strengthening young people, building culture in them and affirmation, working with music. But we got a call that you have been let go from your job because some kid was yelling at you, calling you the N-word, and you repeated back, don't be calling me that. And someone heard you repeating the word back. You were not calling that child that. You were not calling that child out of their name. And so it just start hitting, local news. I remember saying one thing, hey, call this news outlet, get an attorney. But man, this thing just really blew up. So I'm not gonna have you just recount the whole story. But just for folks who are listening, is most of what they heard in the news around the world true, that you repeated that word and that's what you were fired for in a zero tolerance space, that you said a word that's not allowed to be said? And so is that part true? Was that the basis of your release?
Yeah, that was the base of it. And it was kind of ridiculous. It still is ridiculous, but
right.
I was called the word. And the interesting thing is I've been called that word before.
In school by
students. And it was always a principal who would step up and correct the student, reprimand the student. You're not going to use that language. You're not going to call my staff that. Come into my office right now. And the principal would also say, Marlon, can you come into the office with us? And then a restorative conversation would be had. This was something that was not planned. It just was fluid.
Sure.
Because we had a good working, it just was a good working experience, good working relationship that I had with other principals. At East, it even happened at West before. But in this particular situation, instead of kind of like coming to the defense of the staff being called this derogatory term, I became the focus of the hostility, not simply from the child, but from the principal as well, the assistant principal.
So the assistant principal didn't stop the kid from using that language?
No, she got to yelling at me too.
So she got to yelling at you. So as your colleague, she didn't stop it. And then so you were saying to the principal, tell this kid to do your job. Tell this kid to stop calling me this. Or were you saying to the kid, don't call me this?
I was telling the kid, stop calling me that.
Gotcha.
And she was telling me to step away, tap out, what she kept saying, walk away from the situation. But because of my training, I saw her get pushed.
So the kid was being aggressive towards this assistant principal.
She wanted him to walk out the door toward the door. He didn't want to leave the school. She put her hand, trying to guide him, and he pushed her. And once he put his hands on her and pushed her, I was like, okay. And I said on the radio, student just pushed the principal. We're going to need some more assistance up here. And that's when I got the student's attention.
Sure.
And he was like, oh, you calling people on me, Marlon, and he called me a B-I-T, that word, female dog. And I just was like, whatever, man, you're not going to be putting your hands on people. And the assistant principal at that time basically said to me, I didn't need you to do that. I got this. And I kind of looked at her like, you just called me to help you. How you got this? But I didn't say any of that. I just kind of like looked at her, and then I just focused on the young man who at that point started calling me all these interesting words, variations of the N word. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. So not just that, but they had like some qualifiers in front of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You this kind of N-word and that kind of N-word, and we're going to put it a little bit over here.
I didn't identify with none of them words.
Right.
So
Wow. And so were you were put on administrative leave?
at first, yes.
Now, administrative leave means the person's still paid, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you put on administrative leave. Then this thing started going spiraling. Like, you all got some local media and stuff. But like I told you, man, I was in Chicago at a conference. I looked up at, it was the Gayle King show. It was CBS in the morning. I was up there. I said, wait. And I was telling my friends, I said, I know him. They're like, man, are you serious? I said, man, I know him. His wife works for me. He works part-time. He works in a school. This man, I know him. And so they're talking about what was going on. And that was the day I think they announced you were going to get your job back. But what was the span of time between, what was that period of time of uncertainty when you didn't even know if you had another job? Was that a week?
I think it was a little over a week. And then when they hired me back because of all of the onslaught of support that I got, when they hired me back, they didn't know how to bring me back, because I think that, honestly, my perspective is the district was trying to see the best way they could not get sued.
Sure.
By not just me, but the ton of other people who lost their job for doing the similar
White
thing.
people who have done.
White people. There's one Latina lady who there was no kids present at all. She was in a personal development day, and she looked at the staff and basically was like, hey, is there a way we can get these kids to stop using this horrible word?
And she said the word.
One lady was like, oh, I don't know what word you're talking about. And she
she broke it down.
She said the word, and then this wonderful young lady, I guess, who was so upset about her using that word, went and reported her. And they initially was going to fire her, but they ended up suspending her, and she has that on her record. So now she is actively trying to get that taken off of her record.
So people often, laud you for standing for what you believe and wanting your job back, going back for the kids. And I want to talk with Noah in just a few minutes, but just talk to me about the emotional roller coaster. Man, what was that like? One, to go from fired for being publicly fired. Those are two different things.
Yeah.
Losing your job is one thing, but losing it in public is another. Then they're talking about it on TV. Emotionally, I mean, did you have trouble sleeping? Did your stomach get upset? Like, how did you feel emotionally while the nation was talking about your business?
I don't know if you know this about me, Pastor G, but I play PlayStation 4. I enjoy video games. Not as much as I did when I was younger, but I do like playing it.
Sure.
And during this time, I wasn't, when I wasn't working, which wasn't a long period of time because, Michael Johnson and the Boys and Girls Club.
Sure.
But I'd put on the game, and that would kind of help me not think about stuff. And I'd play for like 3-4 minutes, and then I just put it down like, okay, I'm not interested in playing a game. And then about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, I just went to bed.
Yeah, that sounds like depression.
Yeah, and honestly, I remember talking to a therapist, and he said, you have textbook signs of depression. And I was like, bro, black people don't get depressed. We just go through it and come out. That's how we do it.
But we do.
And yeah, he assured me, no, we go through depression. And he said, you got textbook signs of it. And it's weird because I didn't feel depressed. I just didn't feel like myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt a lot of support and encouragement from like all of the people. Just cut on the TV and there I am, and I'm like, oh crap, I'm on TV again. And then that turns into somebody supporting, somebody saying something supporting, and Roland, what's that dude name? Roland Martin.
Roland Martin.
I didn't even know I was on his show till like like last week, and I just looked it up, and I was like, I said, I'm gonna see all the stuff I didn't see because I wasn't looking for it.
Wow.
And I saw Roland Martin, and I was like, he was talking, you know how he talking. He was talking about the N word, and I just was like, oh my God, he's saying the same stuff I've been saying for the last, I don't know how many years. So it was a blessing, and it was hurting at the same time. So it was kind of confusing.
Wow. Yeah. Hey, yo, this is some of the music in the background. I'm talking about. That is not us cutting to a commercial. That's just some folks. They blasting it. So y'all hanging in with us is worth the wait.
It's all good.
So listen, man. So the big thing happened, I think, when I saw that it was the lead story on my iPhone. I have something called Smart News, so it sort of ranks the thing. So it was like the top story. So I opened up my phone and you were on it. But then I saw a quote about Cher. Did somebody tell you that Cher had said, I will pay your legal fees to sue the school board? Or did you see that yourself? Or did somebody call you and say, man, Cher's up here on Facebook talking about you?
The lady, God, I can't remember her name. She works for, I think, the Journal Sentinel, and I could be wrong. There was so many media people at that time. But she was one of the first people that I talked to. She may have been a person to break the story. And she posted it on her Twitter, my story, and Cher was her friend. So Cher ended up responding, and when Cher did it, like, it was already like super big already. But then when Cher did it, I was just like, I just had to sit down. I just sat down and I was like, what is this?
What just happened here?
What's going on? And I honestly, I just didn't believe it. And then I started I got a phone call from her management, and he told me, Cher's gonna call you. I was like, what? Nah, bro, quit playing. He was like, yeah, she's gonna call you. She just wants to talk to you and see if everything's okay.
Did she call you?
She called me.
You talked to Cher?
I talked to Cher for 19 minutes and 23 seconds.
You talked to Cher?
I didn't count, but yeah, 19 minutes, 23 seconds. And it was hilarious because I was fixing my hair and fixing my clothes and everything, and I just looked at myself. I said, bro, she on the phone. She don't see me. But she's a little spitfire. That lady is, she was mad. Yes. She was more angry than I was. And I was like, I was almost trying to calm her down. But
so she was upset.
She said her grandmother used that word. And in front of her mom and the kids, and she said her mother went to her and said, you will never see my children again if you say that word in front of them.
That's what Cher said?
Yeah. And I just was like, wow. So she was like, I've heard it. And she said something so interesting. She said, in the music industry, she was like, we didn't see black. He said, we didn't see black or white. We just judge people on their talent. She said, if you could get up and you can sing, we were like, you're an awesome singer. You're an awesome performer. This person is great. I want to go on tour with you. She was like, we didn't really look at color. And I was like, that's got to be a beautiful world to live in.
Wow. Is she coming to Madison in 2020?
In 2020. I'm gonna say I gotta contact her people.
You need to have one of your songs ready, folks. If you don't know, Marlon is a prolific songwriter, musician, rapper. I have purchased his music. You need to have something ready to drop. You need to have "I Got You, Baby," like hip hop version of it.
We might have to do that.
Or a rap version of "Do You Believe?" What's that song? "Do you believe in love after life after love?" You need to have something that will catch Cher's attention. Be ready for that. Sample it. Do something. Put it out there. Come on, utilize this time.
Hey, this is Eli Steenlich, the engineer and editor of the Black Like Me podcast, and I just wanted to take a moment to tell you about Patreon, our service that lets you support the show. And we know that you all love the show and listen every week. And so if you want to keep supporting what we do, make sure you go to patreon.com/blacklikeme. It's never been easier to give to the show and support it. We have a new $2 level, which is cheaper than a cup of coffee. So go ahead and go over to the website, patreon.com/blacklikeme, and make sure you keep the content coming. And we've already started to do some new things that we're excited about because of the Patreon supporters that we have. So we're going to take you back to the show and back to Dr. G. But thanks for listening.
So, man, so let me switch to Noah over here. Noah, I've known you your whole life. And I probably talked to you more today than I have in the last 3 years. Just because you're a quiet young man. And at least the part that I saw. But when my wife went to that conference, I mean, that there was I almost called it a town hall meeting, but it was a pep rally. So the students were getting together to really speak on behalf of your father. And am I getting this correct, Noah? Are you an officer for the Black Student Union?
I'm the president.
You're the president of Black Student Union. So then it was your role to talk. My wife came home, and she doesn't impress easily, but she was ranting and raving over the strength of your words, your confidence, and your love for your father, but your conviction of standing up against wrong. She loved the way that you moderated, that there were some people saying, no, we got to cut the time off. You got to cut the time off. And she said there was a young man that was trying to say something. And you said, no, let the brother speak. I want to hear what the brother's got to say. She really loved the way you handled yourself and the crowd and the emotion of the moment, man. And there's something about when pressure happens, the best of us can come out.
Yeah.
But were you surprised at what came out of you? Were you surprised that you could hold yourself in that kind of court and space, man?
Yes, I definitely was. I was like, I remember, I forget, I think it was ABC
Nightly News?
Yeah, night news. And I got up there speaking, and like words were just flowing out. And I wasn't stuttering. I was just like speaking, and like it was just coming to my head. And I impressed myself. I was like, wow. I didn't know I was that. I knew I was woke. I didn't know I was that woke. So I definitely impressed myself. I learned a lot about myself through that entire process. And I pretty much learned I want to dedicate my life to wrongly justified people. I want to, I want to better my community, the Black community as a whole.
Sure.
Make America Wakanda. You know what I'm saying?
No, I got you. Now, you hear different stories. So I'm asking you this to just make sure that it's clear. Like your faculty advisor or the person who's the staff advisor to the Black Student Union, is it true that they were not there that day? Were they out sick or something? They were not there that day?
Yeah. He wasn't there. Yeah, he was out sick.
And so that created a space for a leader to step up. And sometimes leadership is forged in those opportunities. Yeah. And so did you have more mic space than you had anticipated coming into that day?
Yeah, definitely.
That's impressive.
Yeah, we went outside and we had about I say 5 news people out there just waiting. I felt like Drake, I felt like it was paparazzi, and I was just like, they was like, tell us about this, tell us about that.
They were putting the microphones in your face and stuff?
Yeah. When we got done talking, like when we went into the Doyle building, when we got out, it was legit. It was crazy. It felt like the movies.
So let me ask you this, Noah. Did the rally took place the day before the walkout? Is that true? Or did you all have the rally?
Yeah.
And then y'all walked out that same day?
No, the rally took place the day before.
And then you had to walk out. So were you a leader of the walkout too?
Yeah. It was me and my committee. We were at the front. We told everybody what we're gonna do. We set it all up that they would walk around the Doyle building while we went inside.
So y'all walked from West High School to the Doyle building. How far is that, about 2 miles?
Yeah, about I believe, or a mile and a half.
Man, and I heard it was peaceful. You all didn't embarrass the community. Not that we would expect you to, but when you hear about that this is happening, it's being led by young, brother, who raps and who's, you got natural hair that's twisted. Yeah. I mean, you epitomize something that a lot of folks in America are afraid of, or at least questioning. But then you're leading a group that was not all Black. I mean, that was a multicultural group that was following your leadership. So you're a young Black brother, and you got folks from various backgrounds. I mean, were white people in the crowd too? Another group?
It was. They had they said it was about 86% of the school was gone that day on the walkout.
86% of the school.
Yeah, about 86% of the school. That it was so empty that they just took all the kids to the gym, or you could leave. So
because y'all emptied the school out.
Yeah.
How did you communicate this to your folks through social media, through Twitter? How did you communicate to the folks at this time? We're gonna meet at this place. We're gonna walk. Tell me about the logistics. Who put the route together?
So actually, it was I told my committee about what was happening. Like they was trying to fire my dad, and he wasn't actually fired yet, but it was in the talks of doing.
Sure.
And because he got sent home for the day, we got the news that he got fired. Then we like, man, they just fired my dad, and they said, okay, what we finna do? And then we were like, man, we gotta do something. We was talking about a walkout. We was talking about all this stuff. So actually, the walkout was we want to do a walkout.
Sure.
But the walkout got started by what is it? It was a couple of girls who ran the West Study page.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
So they said we're gonna walk out, and then we got news. Like one of my committee members said, and so they're planning to walk out, and we're like, what? And they were planning to go to. They didn't have any focus. They didn't have any like plan for the walkout. They were just gonna walk out to the Capitol and just sit there.
Right.
And so we that's when we had set up the rally. We had said, so we heard that the walkout. He said, we want you guys to come to the rally, our BSU meeting on this Thursday, so we can get this put together. And so we talked to our teachers, and they gave us literally pretty much an entire day to plan out the entire rally for the next day.
The teachers let you do that?
Yeah. The teachers, there was ones where they gave us their support. One of my favorite teachers, Mrs. Zapia, Miss Gavelber, they was with it the entire time. I talked to both of them, and they helped us. They helped guide us and things. So we had a lot of support by the community, and I saw that West is a community.
That's a powerful thing to say. That's my alma mater, class of 1981.
Okay, yeah.
So the teachers gave you space to develop into your leadership, to develop that leadership. They didn't try to hold you back. No, don't do this. This is disorderly disorderly conduct. They heard your heart, supported you all, in support of your father, who had been, he's a confidant. When you hear security, you just think they break up fights. But no, he knows the student's name. They know his name. They talk to him about their problems. He can tell you her mama's sick. His father's not in the picture. They had a baby. I mean, I know how your father works and how he loves kids and knows kids. So the kids wanted their voices to be heard. But your leadership, man, that came out was magnificent. I love the fact that you mentioned that teachers gave you that space. But people can give you space, but you still step into that. You took advantage of that moment. You seized it rather than being afraid and shrinking back. And so, yeah, Marlon, I see you.
No, I was just gonna say, even the teachers.
You gotta be proud of your son, man.
I'm so proud of him. I'm holding back tears. I ain't gonna cry. Yes, I am. But
here's some Kleenex right here.
Yeah, good. I'm good.
We need some black Kleenex in here.
Some of the
all these Kleenex are white.
The teachers, when I got back, and the teachers started telling me they were looking to Noah for leadership as well. And the teachers could have gotten in trouble for leaving.
I'm wondering how they did that.
They could have gotten in trouble, but they took the risk, and the principal actually, Karen Baran actually went to bat in their behalf. And she defended the teachers, and to the point where she was just like, only thing's going to happen is they'll just get docked in their pay. And there were some teachers who didn't get docked that came to her and said, oh, you need to dock my pay. I marched. So it was amazing. And
wow.
Yeah, I've never seen anything
and that's
that.
important too, because sometimes we feel that when there's an injustice that happens to us, white people or people who are non-black don't care. Yeah. And when I see that kind of stuff, it reminds me that on good days, that's my memory of Madison. I challenge Madison because I want Madison to be that community, to be that space. We offer this U.S. Black History course through our Justified Anger Initiative. And we have 250 white people showing up to learn about U.S. history and black history so they can be better citizens and better allies. It makes you think there are people who get this. And so, Marlon, that must have felt great to see people coming to your defense. But Noah, what did it feel like to know that teachers were helping you come to the defense of your father, rather than just saying he shouldn't have did it, he shouldn't have said it, we can't say it, he can't say it, which is what's behind the whole thing, I believe. Yeah. How did it feel to see white teachers supporting you as a young brother with leadership aspirations?
It felt really great. knowing that, you know, we don't, a lot of us, I feel like I can speak for the entire black community within West and within all the MMSD schools. I've been talking with a young lady, Denaria Rowe, and we've been trying to start up a citywide BSU, and not
That's
just
a great
trying to,
idea.
You know, our whole main goal is to better the black community within Madison.
That's
and
vision.
to pretty much make it like a black Mecca in a way, kind of like
I'm with you.
Yeah, kind of like you know, Atlanta and DC, and so but it felt great, and it was a reliever, because we're not, and I'm gonna be 100% honest, we're not batted for. And we have people like my pops and, you know, the other security guards and other black staff, and that's one issue that we have. We have black staff. We don't have black teachers, and so we don't have a problem with the amount of black staff. It's like they hire a crazy amount. All like many of the behavior staff are black. And
So they deal with the problems with the kids who get in trouble, but they're not in the classrooms bringing about instruction.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so it just felt good, and it was a little change of pace, knowing that, you know, that they may care. It's just maybe they just, you know, ignorant and they don't know how to help. Really.
No,
so,
that's, man.
But yeah, it was definitely.
No, I love that. Say, Wesley, let me ask you a question on this microphone right here, man. So you're away at school at Howard.
Yes,
you
sir.
and Noah are friends. Now, how did you feel being out in D.C., seeing your boy taking on this role on a national platform? I mean, man, what were you thinking when you saw him stepping up this way?
It was crazy to see it. My mom initially sent me a link to the article, and I looked and I'm like, wait, this Mr. Anderson from West? And I'm like, wow, it actually is. And I read the story, and then I just couldn't believe it. So then I texted Noah, and I'm like, hey, bro, like, are you good? Like, what's going on? And then he just kind of reiterated the story to me, and it was crazy because it made national news. We were even talking about it at Howard, and it was just big. It blew up.
Man, so they were talking about it at Howard, and you were telling him,
Yes.
I know this.
I know him. That's one of my close friends, and yeah, like, it was just unbelievable. Like, Madison isn't in the national news a lot, so for it to be in for that was just crazy to me.
Wow. Noah, how do you think about your future now? I mean, how has that experience stretched you? Has it made you think about where you want to go to college, what you want to do at college, what you want to do after college? How has the experience changed you?
Well, and I want to give a shout out to Coach Gray. If he listening at all, I know he been sick, so he hasn't been present in the school that often this year. But he taught me a lot through BSU. When I got to BSU, that really taught me that when I went to the last year, when I actually went down to Howard, and I saw HBCU for the first time. I didn't know much about HBCU.
Sure.
I saw all those black people. I saw all people that looked like me that was doing successful. It just brought me to tears, because I'm just like this is what I want. You know, this is what I want for myself. So I know that for a fact. You know, I really, really, really want to go to a HBCU. I don't think I could be at any other college after that experience.
Sure.
But I see in my future, I see nothing but success. And I want to get to the point where I want to be an activist.
Man, you already are.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to cut you up, but you got a lot of activists that want to do what you've already done. You got folks calling themselves activists. They've never led a movement and had people 100 folks deep. How many kids walked out? 90%?
86%.
What? It's 2,000 kids.
Like 1,500.
1,500 kids. Yeah. There's a lot of activists that have not gotten 30 people to follow them. So just keep in mind, develop your activism, but you are already a bona fide activist.
I appreciate that.
It's just the truth.
But yeah, I am a rapper. I go by the name of Gap. What I do, I rap about all consciousness, about black issues in America. I rap about issues, and if I rap about women, you know, I'm empowering them. So I'm trying to change up. You know, if I make it big with hip hop, I'm trying to change up the hop. You know, bring it back towards the positive days, you know. No more like Percocets and popping drugs, like just popping pills and all that stuff. But
that's not helping our community.
It's not at all. It's actually it's damaging our community. Man. But pretty much just putting our people towards the right step. You know, we got comfortable where we at. You know, it's time that we move on and we keep on following the yellow brick road. You know, we kind of got off track, but no, really, I want to be a business owner. I want to own multiple. I got multiple business ideas, and what I really want to do, I want to get to the point where the government is targeting my head. Like I want to get to the point where I'm putting that much of divot in the system, that I'm being that much of a change, that the government want me gone.
Man.
So that's what
but they're not gonna take you out.
Yeah, I don't want to be taken out. I don't want to be taken out, but I do want to say that I would be willing to die for my. I don't want to die, but I would be willing to die for the cause, to get my people to move from where we at and to greatness. Because, you know, for my kids, I want them to be where we at right now. I want them to grow up in another generation. I would not want them to grow up in that. And I also want to say this while I'm on the mic, is that for all the people that's in my generation, with my boy Wesley, man, when we have kids, man, we have to raise these kids to believe. Don't just teach your kids on, you know, African American history. You know, that is part of our history, but teach your kids on, you know, African history, because that's still part of our history.
That's our roots.
Yeah, that's our roots. And so teach your kids that they come from royalty. Teach your kids, you know, the positives of our history. Teach your kids that they can do. And that
don't wait for the schools to do it.
Exactly.
Teach your kids.
Because the schools won't. And so, and also we have a gift. And it's like, I don't know why we don't see it, but every generation, the Bible scripture, raise a child up in the way they should go. And, you know, so we raise all our kids up to love. If white kids raise their kids that everybody's equal, then that's a whole nother generation. And man, that could end racism. So every group of people has
that could end war, brother.
That could end war. Every generation has the power to end something completely. You just got to raise a child up in that way. And the majority gonna rule. There's gonna still be some people that's, you know, away from that, but the majority, you know, gonna make the difference.
Rules, yeah.
Man, that's powerful. Listen, I want to underscore something that this young man just said, and for my white listeners, I want you to really understand this. Noah is exceptional. He's brilliant. He's a communicator, and he comes from good family. But he's not an anomaly. Say Wesley is brilliant. They got other brothers and sisters that are brilliant. The people they put in front of mics, the people they give contracts to, are talking about our families and raping our women and popping these drugs. The folks that show you in the media, the people they put up in posters, are not about this. Yeah. Do not think that brothers like Noah or Say Wesley don't exist. They are all over the place. Yeah. But listen to what they're saying. We need black teachers and not just black behavioral specialists. We need black teachers not just for them, but for white kids to see black people in a different position. They're saying they want to serve the community. They want white parents to teach their kids that racism is wrong and that your kids ain't better than nobody else. You know, this man is saying stuff that presidents have not said, not just Trump. Let's stop demonizing Trump. I mean, he brings a lot of it on himself, but come on, the Clintons didn't say this, the Bushes didn't say this. This man is saying something that elected officials are not saying. He's saying with each generation, a parent teaching their children right will bring more good doers and right doers into the community. And so I want you to look at young black men and young black women differently when you see them. Don't look at deficiencies or things that have been heaped upon them. Ask yourself, what has hindered their brilliance? What has hindered their success? Because it was crisis that allowed this man to come into national prominence, being talked about on nightly news. So again, I do not want to take away from his exceptionalism, but what I do want you to know that for every Noah, there are 20, 30, 50 sharp, clear thinking, strategically minded young black kids who are dying in our schools, being sent to our prisons, been given drugs, not told the truth about who they are. In America, we doing this shit to them. And so stop looking at them and saying that the daddy's in the picture. The daddy's sitting right next to him. His mama is at home having a house ready for him. He's got his older brother in college. His younger brother's going to be following in their footsteps. Stop acting like this is just a black problem. They did not slap this boy on his behind when he was born and say he's going to be a thug. They raised him in places where his culture, his ethos, his drive has been beaten down. And so the fact that he can still step up to places of leadership, that say Wesley can go to places like Howard and shine, is not just a sign of hard work. It is a miracle that this crap has not choked out the brilliance of these young black men and young black women. That's why they head into depression, because they know they come from kings and queens. They know that they're from royalty, and they're not talking about it in the classrooms. The teachers don't look like them. And if they raise their voice, they don't take their hats off fast enough, they call in the police, they're criminalizing them, they're creating records. As I want you to understand that folks who fall off the rails are not just a product of bad homes, they're a product of bad society. And we got to change stuff.
Yeah, man, everything that you just said really reminded me of one of my all-time favorite rapper, Tupac. And it's by not just his lyrics, but I looked at every single one of his interviews. One of the most intellectual people I ever
He was
seen.
brilliant.
I have a friend, I'm not gonna name him, but he told me his story. He grew up in projects in Chicago, and the story that he told me is just it's crazy. I couldn't imagine going through what he went through. But he's one of the brightest dudes I know.
Sure.
But one of Tupac's quotes, "Thug life." He coined that term, "thug life." And what's that? Can I? I want to say everything. It has, offensive language.
No, you can't. This is you just heard me cuss, so you can say it. Go ahead. But at your dad, can you say it? He gonna be.
Yeah, I'm gonna just
go ahead on. Keep it real.
Thug life. The hate you give little infants fucks everybody. And when my friend, he's a perfect example.
Wait, say that again. That's the acronym of thug life.
Yeah,
say
the
that
hate
again.
you give little infants fucks everybody. And so my friend, one of my closest friends, and he's a perfect example of that. Super bright kid, but he going down he's starting to go back down the wrong path that he kind of strayed from, because what society did to him. They put him in these in the hood, and that's generational. They put us redlining, so. There's pretty much saying that the outcome of a thug, what you see as a common day thug, is the outcome of society's lack.
It's a product. It is a product. It is a product. It was created.
The product of society not loving them.
The hate you give.
Yeah. And actually, gangs started in America, like Crips and Bloods. All that started. It used to start out as clubs. My bad. I'm sorry.
No, you're doing fine.
Yeah, it started out as clubs, and that was because black kids were not allowed to go to Boy Scouts. So they created their own little thing. Started out as clubs. They wasn't selling drugs. They wasn't selling any of that stuff. But that happened once the government dropped crack cocaine into our neighborhoods. And then everything started becoming about drugs, selling it, because they was cut off from economic opportunity. They wasn't allowed to leave their hood.
And we had white flight, so the tax base left the inner city, so there was not enough money to sustain schools and repairing the streets. So it looked like black people just tearing stuff up.
Yeah.
But the money that would provide that support left and fled. And so when drugs came in the inner cities and dropped and the government had a role in it, you were dealing with people who were hopeless. And that was going to be some alleviation from their pain.
Exactly.
So just what you're saying, that's what happened.
Yeah, and also when you look at our people selling drugs and things like that, you have to also see, you can't just look at them and be like, oh, they're out there selling drugs or doing bad things. You have to look at an entrepreneur. That's an entrepreneur out there.
Exactly.
And if you can flip that and turn that gift that they have into something else and put it towards a positive thing, we got another Black Wall Street.
Right. Right.
It's like
But you got to see that when you see them. You can't just see what they do. I mean, how many brothers went to jail and prison because of selling weed? Now it's a big industry.
Yeah.
All these CDB stores are just places where they're going to sell weed when it becomes legalized, and now it's big business. But when we were being entrepreneurial, when young brothers and sisters were doing it, they were thugs, criminalized, and put in prison.
Yep.
Now you got white people wearing smocks selling organic hemp, and it's a good thing. So I want you all to listen deeply. This is an 18-year-old young man who has maintained his cultural and spiritual identity in the craziness of a place like Madison, Wisconsin. So we have to ask ourselves, why do we let systems exist that minimize the success of brothers like him? That is criminal. And you're exactly right. When that happens, we're finding out in this country does fuck everybody. Mm-hmm. And that's very true. And if people need to be more offended by what's happening legally than the fact that we just dropped that word. Man, listen, this brother, Marlon, you and Miss Ozanne have just raised some tremendous young men. He's also a product of the Nehemiah programs. Yeah. Y'all raised him. You all raised him. We work to do this to help young men find their leadership potential. But I just need to commend you all on all the talk of what fathers aren't doing. There's not enough stuff about what fathers are doing. And I know I want to get all this information, about what's going on in the school. And we know that story, but who Noah is an example to other kids in the school. They can look up to it. So it's becoming very clear that he's voicing what a lot of young people feel about you. You've given them space to grow as well. It wasn't just crisis, but you taught Noah that he had the good so that when the door opened, he stepped into it. But I appreciate you being a father figure to young men. And I know as a brother, it's hard to bear this. You got 3 sons. You're getting one through college, and you got another about to go off to college, and you're trying to figure out how you're going to make all this work. But then you got other young folks who have nobody to look up to. So we are these godfathers, surrogate fathers, mentors, all of this stuff that we do. But I appreciate the investment that you all have made in your community, in the young boys in our program. But you and Ozanne are to be commended. I know you're proud because I'm proud, and I'm just watching from a distance. I don't want to leave people high and dry. You got your job back, right?
Yes.
Man, did you get a lot of hugs when you got back?
I promise you, I think I broke a world record in hugs on that day I got back, because it was like all the kids saw me, and I had to fight tears that whole day.
I bet.
Because kids didn't know. Technically, it was like they really didn't know I was coming, or some of them knew and they just were waiting to see me. And it just was like some kid, this one girl, I mean, she just was coming down the stairs, and I said, "Hola, ¿cómo está?" And she just looked at me, her eyes got big, and she just broke in tears. And she like, "I didn't know you were back." And I was like, "Girl, you gonna make me cry. You saw me on TV crying.
And Marlon,
my head too big for
it
that."
It took you a lot to come back. A lot of people would have said, "I'm walking away from that mess." But you came back because you said you couldn't do that to the kids. You couldn't have those kids marching for you and for justice and not show up. How did the principal, now if you could just say, I'd rather not answer, the lady that all this stuff went down with, was she glad? Is she glad you're back? And if you could just say, if you just look at me and kind of blink twice, if you can't talk about it, just blink twice. Okay.
It seems like she is, but there are things that we still need to talk about.
Sure.
Because
exactly.
Yeah, it just there are things that just are unsettled for me, and I thought I'd be good because I'm. You know me,
sure.
You know me, Pastor G. I'm one of them dudes. I'm easy to forgive.
You're real laid back.
I'm laid back, and I forgive you quick. My wife still look at me like, how you still talk to your father? And I'm like, I love my dad. I can't help it. But he was not there. He was abusive to my mom. It was just a horrible story. But I can't help it. I love him. That's my dad, the only one I got.
So you giving these folks a shot, which is a strong message to your gospel, to what you preach, to walk, to offer forgiveness. I think that piece is really powerful, because you could have been bitter. You could have said, "Sherry, bring that money. We gonna sue the school." I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff. I know people must have been telling you to do. I was thinking he better sue him, take that money, take that Sonny and Cher money, and go and sue him. So I just think that piece is impressive. When you look back on it, when you look back on the whole situation, I think what's really, really powerful is that you got your job back because the community rose up. What about the folks who didn't have community, and the brothers and the sisters that just lost their jobs? You've been at that school you've been in the district for how many years?
11.
11 years. And they're just going to just let you go. You know, you got benefits and stuff. You got a family. Just let you go over some foolishness like that. Just let a brother in the district go when we need someone with your kind of experience. But just knowing that you were the ones that had supports, you got your job back. But there are people in districts, in business, in nonprofits all across the country that are being mistreated and nobody's speaking up. So I would say to folks, when you see injustice, speak up.
Yes.
Say something. Don't just say, I don't know what to do. I didn't know. You have kids who did something. They planned to walk out. They showed up. You weren't even at the rally that Noah led, were you?
I wanted to come. My wife, she told me, "No, you probably shouldn't go, Marlon. It's probably not a good idea if you show up." And it probably would. It was good advice. But I did watch it on TV.
Wow.
I saw a live video stream, and then I just watched it. And I just was in tears the entire time.
Man, you had to have been.
They had my mama in tears. My mama do not cry. Like, you got my mama in tears. I mean, you like...
You doing something. You're doing something.
She do not cry.
You are doing something. So listen, I know you all have some other plans later today, but I really appreciate you all coming here and telling your story. Noah, I really, really appreciate your story, man. Say, Wesley, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you since kindergarten.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Coming back, yeah. Make sure you find those alphas out there at Howard. They'll take care of you, good brother. They'll take care of you. And so, man, Marlon. Okay, now you know I already said this that you're a songwriter. So I'm putting some stuff out there. So, you know, if we're gonna put a link to Lit Gap's music, we got to put a link out to some of your stuff too, Marlon. So you gotta get your stuff together, because by the time this drops, we're gonna have a link. But man, what are you gonna do with this? You gonna write music around it? You gonna write a book about it? Any thought about what you want to do about this experience? Because you came through this and came out on the other side, and a lot of people lose their reputation and their lives, and we just get taken out on just little stuff. Yeah. You got any idea what the next step is?
I thought about doing a book. I was literally like, I should talk to Pastor G about doing a book, 'cause I don't know how to do no book. And I've been doodling. I've been on writer's block for the last 12 years. No, it ain't been that long. But I've just been on like a little writer's block for a long time, and
You've been journaling about this process?
Yeah. I've really been trying to get out of the block, and I started a song.
I hope you do a song, because, you know, that's how you journal and tell stories too.
Yeah.
So don't lose your way of telling stories. Write a book. Do that too. Yeah. We can find people that can help you. But you're dangerous on the microphone, and you're very dangerous. You're vicious when you have pen and paper. So make sure that you're getting those emotions out, messages for people to listen to when they're being mistreated, how to maintain their sanity, how to stand up. But also, you are a beneficiary of the community you helped to create, because you love those diverse kids. Those diverse kids loved you back. Yeah. But if you treated them like crap, Noah would have been walking out with about 4 kids behind him who didn't want to go to algebra trig anyhow. So you invested in that community, and they followed you. So I'm telling people, invest in your community. Yep. That means build people, build relationships, so that when you're in trouble, somebody comes to get you. But if you treat people wrong, ain't nobody coming to help you.
Yep. That's right. And that is the bottom line for me, and that's how I was taught. And even Jesus left that commandment to love one another as I have loved you. All I ever try to do is love people. And people make it hard sometimes.
Yeah, they
do.
But
you can work past all that if you can see the brilliance that's in these young people. You can love them even if they cussing you out.
Yes.
I've been cussed out, and I smile at them. I'm like, you know you don't mean that. And then the kid get to laugh and like, I hate you. And I'm like, no, you don't. It's at the end of the day, just if you treat people the way you want to be treated, this is the kind of stuff that happens. You make people feel valuable, and
you
they
did
are.
that. You live in proof, man.
Yeah.
The international story, honestly, Marlon, was not about you being fired for the use of the N-word and then reinstated. The message across the nation was you had people who believed in you because of people you believed in. And so folks can talk about how the world is all jacked up, but what have you done to make it better? For that corner of the world, you made it better, and they had your back. You made it easy for your son to respect you because you respected him and taught him to be respectful. And, you know, to your point, those kids cuss at you, but you love them. If I go to the doctor and I cough in their face, they're not going to say, I hate you. They're going to realize this man's sick. This is what sick people do.
Right.
When a kid is cussing you out, they coughing, they're sneezing. They are exhibiting signs of illness. If we think about that,
Yeah.
nobody kicks a person out of the doctor's office because they sneezing. Go wipe your nose and then come back up in his clinic. They want you while you're doing that because that's when you're exhibiting.
That was the first. Technically, what you just said is one of the first things that I learned in ministry class. I was told, if you throw a brick into a crowd, who gonna holler the loudest? And my answer was the one that get hit. And they were like, why? And I was like, obviously because they're hurt.
Right.
And he said, that's how you gotta do life. The people who are crying the hardest and the loudest and the most angry, they're doing that because they're hurting.
And that's what we got to remember, man.
Yeah.
That's what takes you to work, and that's what took you back to work. Listen, man, I appreciate you all. You sat in the studio and talked for a long time. You put up with all this loud music in this studio. Y'all didn't even flinch that much.
jamming.
You know, I'm going to try to get my magical engineer, Eli, to just try to weed as much of that stuff out as possible. Hey, I just want to say this is the last episode that we're dropping in this season. We take a few weeks off to build up for season 4. We've seen steady growth. We are now being listened to in 61 countries around the nation, which I love that. I love that. Special shout out to folks who were my guests on the show. I think February, Valentine's Day of last year. Kimberly and Michael Thomas, they are pastors in Seattle, Washington, Renton, Washington, who just became Patreon supporters. Kim, Mike, thank you all. I know you all are always listening, always talking about it, but thank you all for joining the Patreon family and supporting this work. And so listen, you all, we've had this great episode, great energy. Go to the links, listen to Gap's music, listen to Marlon's music. Marlon, you still call Scribe?
I am.
All right. Listen to Scribe's music because these brothers, this is a father-son team that are doing great work, not only in classrooms, in hallways, but also in the microphone. They give you something to think about. So as always, folks, we ask you to listen, to learn, subscribe, share this information because you know someone who needs to hear these good stories of what our African-American youth are doing and replace with all that garbage that people are telling you about what's going on. So listen, have a great day. Thank you for being a part of Black Like Me. And I'm looking forward to bringing you more great programming in season 4. Take care.
Ooh, black like me, yeah.
I want to thank Corey Saffold for creating the music for this podcast, my podcast manager, Tyler Nyland, engineer and editor, Eli Steenlich, my editor, Jeremy Holliday, and a special thank you to WORT Studios, where we record Black Like Me.
Ooh, black like me.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast. You can find out more about Dr. Alex G's amazing work at www.alexg.com. Black Like Me is sponsored by the generosity of the Human Family Unity Foundation.